is super fucking. Are you already closing or you're still opening?
No. Well, that is that. There's not much more of it. It's probably only a few more meters. Okay, yeah, let's go this way.
It looks great. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe you could leave it here for a while.
It's a wedge it.
Yeah, looks great.
Really nice.
Okay, I did it. Me. I should have sent you a PDF.
The line of performance from London should be next.
Oh.
Okay. We're back here. And we can connect now to the file.
So, and she should be there any minute. Paula.
I'm a bit hot and bothered.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hi. Yasmina, can you see us?
Yes, I can see you. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Do you hear me?
So it's a pity I didn't bring my computer to connect as well, but maybe I could connect on my phone.
Can you hear me?
do you think it's sort of like seance?
Tanja, nemoj da se povezaš, mikrofonija će se...
Okay. Hi everyone, how are you doing?
Can you hear us all? Can you tell us if you hear
Could
us?
we see participants on the side?
You ought to be able to.
Like the gallery view?
Get my mask off, taking unflattering photos of me.
I can see Dagmara over there.
Yes, but what can I do? I mean, she has to start.
Evo, sada je pušteno u...
Okay, Kate. Et bon.
Igor has instruction what to do, but
Okay,
it's not online.
okay. But if he can see her, then I guess she is online. Oh, of course. There you go.
Dagmara has started her...
Our mics aren't on, are they? Not going to crunch our way through.
Are we on mute?
I hope not.
Okay,
I
we
really
can
hope
see
so.
Dagmara here, so could you put on her, please? Yeah? Yeah, amazing.
Oh, that looks like...
Wow. Wow. And the sound? Is there any sound?
Forgive me, but where is that?
Maybe there is not. It's a.
It's London.
This is Millennium Bridge in London. Wow. Wow. This looks so amazing.
She's going to get in the bag. She is, isn't she? I hope so.
Please pin her. Don't. What's going on? What's going on with the image? Does this score becoming one with the bag?
They don't send the sound for some reason, and I see there it says, okay, that's just connection.
Great dress.
No,
Yeah,
no,
it's
it's
really
fine.
good dress,
No,
isn't it?
no. Just mute us when we have this
It's Fresh Spice
other
Girls.
contribution.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry Halliwell's was much shorter, wasn't it?
Probably.
I love the Spice Girls. I know that's really naff of me.
We're all eating. Are we supposed to eat?
Wow. Okay. So that's how it goes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a great image.
It's a really good image.
But can you, people were asking if she's bending head. Can you realize if she's bending her head?
If she's what?
Bending backwards. I couldn't work out how
No,
to fit
not
it
backwards.
back.
She's bending forwards.
She is bending forwards, yeah. Does it say Misplaced Women?
Okay, she has St. Paul's Cathedral in the background, and she's facing Tate New Modern.
Don't you just love the way that people aren't taking any notice, though?
Yeah, it's quite a busy bridge, and in the sense also that people are just rushing. Wow. This gets really tense now. Amazing. So this was Dagmara Bilon performing Misplaced on the Millennium Bridge in London. And we had at the very beginning, could you just say?
Is it on?
Yeah.
I performed my sculptural performance work, sculptural installation performance. My name's Paula Chambers. Sorry, I should have introduced myself. Except you can't see me, or can they see me? I don't know. Outside in the yard here at the Centar for Cultural Decontamination in Belgrade, the work I performed was called Crossing the Line.
Oh, they say they can see the whole panel.
Oh, can they?
Yes.
I feel like I should wave.
Yes, great. Brilliant. What is the plan then? Are we switching now to individual piece?
Yes, Igor is preparing now Teresa's contribution.
Teresa, would you like to announce shortly?
Well, I have to I'm not sure if Teresa is here with us.
She's not.
Or
Yes, I am here. I am here.
Yeah?
My piece is pre-recorded and I'm just standing by for you to play it.
Brilliant. This is what they're streaming.
No, this is what we're streaming.
Oh, okay.
What we see on this file to me. Screen at some point.
Absolutely.
You can WeTransfer. I don't know how you do it. But
Yeah, would we transfer it?
yeah, it's fine.
I was trying to get online here.
I don't desperately need it right at the moment. For sure.
Okay, just to say, everyone, is this working? Yeah.
Da.
Can you hear me, people? Yeah. Just to say, everyone, thanks for joining us. I can see people being with us in Zoom. Hi, Jasmina Tešanović. Hi, Bojana Videkanić. Hi, Gabi. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Jishen. Susan Merrick. Hi. And we are here sitting in the pavilion. Besides Dan and Katarina, Jelena Dinić from Belgrade, Matt Kate from Berlin, Paula Chambers from Leeds, Culture Hub Croatia, they just come now from Split, Hani from Berlin, and myself, Tanja. Yeah.
Teresa, can I kindly ask you if you can actually play from your own computer this piece, because now, because of the different technical demands that we have, we are unable to do it for you. I'm so sorry for that, but we really are struggling now because it's really too much different apps that are connected in the same time with the main computer.
Maybe we should have the live performance rather. Maybe we should have a live.
Okay, I can try and share my screen.
Yes, please, thank you. Može ono sa svog skrina da pusti.
Okay.
The host has disabled screen sharing, so you'll have to make that possible.
Yes, Igor is doing it now for you.
Kad pritisneš allow multiple, onda pušta. Pusti drugu, pušta kada je druga, da.
Teresa treba da se pusti.
Evo sad je pustio čovjek.
Može to. Try now, Teresa, please. You can share your screen now.
I'm trying and I'll see if it'll allow me.
Let's try again.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see screen, yes.
Ona stavlja, Tanja, ona stavlja. Ona stavlja. Ne može on to da uradi za.
আমাদের আবহাওয়া প্রায় সময় অত্যন্ত খারাপ থাকে। আমরা এই কারণে স্থানান্তরকে এই সমস্যার মোকাবেলার কৌশল হিসেবে ব্যবহার করে থাকি। নদী সমুদ্রতে পানি বেড়ে যাওয়া, খরা, সাইক্লোন, বন্যা এবং মাটি ভাঙনের কারণে আমাদের সরতে হচ্ছে। আমাদের মাঝে মাঝে সব হারিয়ে যায় এবং আবার শুরু করতে হয়। মহিলাদের জমি এবং অর্থের উপর অধিকার পুরুষদের থেকে অনেক কম, ওদের বেতনও কম, যে কারণে জায়গা বদলে টিকে থাকা কষ্ট।
What we are going to watch the next?
I think that Bojana Videkanić is right after Teresa.
Bojana, then we need please to pin two screens for Bojana.
Yes.
Yes, and could you unpin the others?
Can you see me okay? And can you hear this?
Yes, we can hear you. And now we're going to see you soon.
U režiji mora da postoji mogućnost da se drugi ekrani ugase i da se samo pinuju dva ekrana.
Tako je, evo sad ću vam to govoriti. Sad ću vam to govoriti.
Zato se penje opet. Možete mi kažete?
Nemoj se penjati gore, molim te. Znači, imamo sve, imamo scenario, svima sam vam poslao više, mislim, stvarno sam 3 puta ponavljao, znamo šta ide sledeće za Bog.
Bojana, you got sound only on the vertical one, is that right?
Yeah, I only have to have it on the vertical one.
Very
That's
good.
fine.
Very good.
A poem about giving and about delay. St. Francisco Parodi, the IMF's resident representative in Bosnia, said this to his faithful followers in that broken country that he is in charge of. Due to a delay in the signing of the Holy Letter of Intent, the Holy See and its executive board will need to consider the extended fund policy, because those fucking morons in Bosnia are so fucking stupid that they cannot fucking sign a fucking letter of intent. Amen. Executive summary. Crossing the back door. Preserves some decline. CIA document number C059555863. Domestic product, demand and growth, the modest acceleration investment, and a still weak outlook for exporters of gender equality as a matter of human rights, social justice, and factors contributing to the situation include insufficient leverage for settling other issues. Protests, riots, union activity still account for the lion's share of world growth in private spheres of life. Bosnia. The US should seek a thorough international inventory of frozen gender labor roles and child care facilities. Significant toughening of monitoring regime on weakness in oil exporting countries reinforces the traditional roles of men and women. S tvrdnjom da crkva treba presudno uticati na položaj žene u društvu ne slaže se 66% muškaraca. Growth in advanced economies to a large extent reflects very high OC penetration with Russian links. So doubly important in promoting gender equality of marker and developing economies. Global growth is down in China, 0.4 percentage points. Since foreign banks comprise a substantial bulk of the banking system in Bosnia, they can flare up at any time. Watch for any labor union rioting due to the crisis, projected to remain modest in 2016 at 3.2%. Confidential. O potrebi I potrazi. Traži se radnica na proizvodnjoj liniji. Mjesto rada, Hum na Sutli. Broj traženih radnika 20. Vrsta zaposlenja neodređeno. Radno vrijeme puno. Način rada 3 smjene. Smještaj zajednički. Naknada za prevoz bez naknade. Bruto plaća 1000 kuna. Opis posla. Obavlja sve poslove za izvršenje proizvodnih funkcija, posluživanje, kompletiranje, dorađivanje, pakiranje, čišćenje, uređivanje u pogonu izvan njega, posluživanje strojeva, priprema strojeva, izravan rad sa strojevima, donošenje i odnošenje materijala i gotovih proizvoda, obavljanje svih drugih poslova prema nalogu neposrednog rukovoditelja, a to obuhvaća sve što gazda kaže. A poem about translation and transition, economic and otherwise. Please let me transition. Please let me transition. Please let me transition. Please let go of me. Please let go of me. Let me go. Please let me transition. Please let me transition. Please let go of me. Please let me transition. Please let me transition. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Fuck you. Let me go. Let me go. Let go of me, you fucker. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Let me transition. I'm all transitioned out. I'm all transitioned out. I'm all transitioned out. I'm all transitioned out. I'm done. I cannot do it anymore. What am I supposed to transition to? Where am I transitioning to? Let me go. Let me. A poem about translation issues. The translation process Those fuckers understand nothing. They're totally fucking out there. They need to implement our policies on market movement and product adoption, but fuck, they're stupid. So no, translation does not help here. Once following through the process, a complete list of transactions, OFC, and closing balances would be made. Zajebiti to. Jebeš ti IMF. Koji šiša? There's no translating to these idiots. There's no translating here. These animals are just way out there, and they cannot implement any monetary policies because they do not know how monetary policy works. Fuck them. How capitalism works. Fuck capitalism is about opportunities, and these idiots do not need any. Fuck translation. O tome kako će nam biti bolje i više. Poštovani, bit će bolje. Bolje bit će. Evo, svi pokazatelji nam govore da ide nabolje. Stvari se kreću u pozitivnom smislu. Putanja je nagore. Ove godine vidimo da se sve odvija u pozitivnom smislu. Naši su pokazatelji, evo, rekli da je zaista ove godine 0,5% bolje nego lani. A da ne govorimo o preklani. Znači, napredak je tu. Mi smo optimistični da će se sve stvari riješiti. Mogu sa sigurnošću da vam kažem da će biti značajnije povećanje, a stopa rasta je daleko veća nego prije. Svakako se vidi boljitak. Raste, sve raste, ka višemu idemo. Stopa rasta je visoko. Visoko se penjemo. Rejting nam se povisio. Sjajne vijesti su tu i rast je tu. I bit će bolje. PDP raste više nego ikada. Stanje je izvanredno i brojke nam pokazuju da rastemo, ljudi, rastemo. Ohrabrujući se nam brojke. Korekcija je prema rastu. Ovo tromjesečje raste, sve raste. Visoko do zjenice sunca, do najljepših snova ga nosio on. Mjesto žena je primarno u kući. Po zonama. Imamo atraktivnu radnu snagu. They wear fucking diapers, so they do not have to go to the toilet. Ohrabrimo investitore. We need to encourage foreign investment, not drive them away with your nonsense about going to the toilet. Fucking pee. Who cares about peeing? Seriously, who fucking cares? News. Podvodila unuk u starom policijskom znancu. They work in 3 shifts in the Benetton factory. They pay night shift like garbage. Garbage. We're fucking garbage. After a period of rapid growth in the immediate post-war period in the late 1990s and 2000s, Bosnia and Herzegovina economy suffered stagnation during tranzicija. 36 degrees inside. I have to pee. Fuck. Tranzicija. I got a contract for a few months. They might extend it. Who knows? Tranzicija. Pee. There are big gender gaps in the numbers of women and men in employment. Tranzicija. Flexible, unpaid, hidden, domestic, depressed, old, occasional, uneven, 24/7, 4 shifts, crossing, dead weight, disenfranchised, minimum wage, financially invisible, uncompensated, crossed, pulled, alone, not on the index, outside the border, inside the category, apart, separate, inept, quiet, poor, fence, barbed wire, borderline, division, border gate, discarded, unwanted, not needed, over, under, behind, never making, not enough, overrepresented, above, lacking, asking, too much, too little, burdened, blackened, loud, quiet, financialization, floating, hiding, running, not fast, too fast, stupid, minimal, maximal, where? Not there. Not over there either. Nowhere. The best is nowhere. The best will be to disappear, to go, to leave, to exit existence, to be outside of life itself, maybe then.
Bravo Bojana, bravo. Sjajan performans, stvarno.
Thank you.
We are now going to Jishen or to Gabi? To Jishen, okay.
Jishen, yes.
So from Dhaka to Toronto and now to Vienna. Yeah. We need this green grass performance.
You can start from.
Or she's going on.
No, it's finished. Very happy to join from Vienna. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jishan. That was really nice. Thank you. It was fun.
Thank you all very much. Also, I want to mention I have two classmates who is here helping me with the filming, and yeah, it's really nice. They keep me in company.
Very nice. Join us all for the round table after. Yeah, try to find some quiet place so we could also get involved in the talk if you like.
Yeah, I will, and I will track also Dee and Isabel who do the filming and all the settling. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.
See you all soon. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Then, yeah.
How do I see myself when I get there? As a bird in paradise, as a long-lost relative, as a little girl who never came home in time and who washed the freckles away by dipping her finger in moist places. Am I still expected not to like sex? Am I a success story? Am I still the good little girl who shouldn't walk around with only one shoe on because she will never get married that way, as my grandmother used to tell me? Am I still the little girl who should see Jesus float on clouds? Am I still the little girl who should stop eating bread on a Friday because some saint, Saint Joseph, suffered for our sin? I don't want to ride to heaven wearing my chastity belt. I don't want to ride to heaven wearing my chastity belt. And on the first day of the year, I don't want to eat fish in order to cleanse my sins away, and I don't want to invite a priest inside my house on the first day of the year. Am I still a good little girl then? Am I still a favorite cousin, niece, goddaughter, or granddaughter, even though I don't like wearing scarves or cardigans or underwear? And I enjoy and I worship my whips. I enjoy adorning my body with lovebirds, with tattoos and jewels. Can I be a porn star, a madam, or a whore and still be a good little girl when I get there? Am I still a good little girl when I like to argue, when I like to be a nag and I disobey? I don't want to be scandaling for my childbearing hips, my pretty smile, and I don't want to be a promised wife. And my eyes, honey, are not naive, and they do flutter up and down when I see those sexy people walk on by. I don't worship money, and I'm ready to defy. I don't worship money, and I'm ready to defy. Am I still a good little girl then? How do I see myself when I get there to Romania, where I was born? As a bug on the footpath, screaming for attention? Am I a squash bird with no self-esteem because I don't fit in? Am I a missing link in that family? Hell no. I think I'm ready to party. I think I'm ready to be a slut, to celebrate my roots and my good fortune. I am my way, I am. Drape me in jewels with all your gentle tools. Drape me in words without them hurting me. Drape me with affection without spilling my moods. Drape me with tension, with borders I can cross. Songs without them being out of tune. Drape me with heat without explosions. Drape me with care without a strangle. Drape me with kisses without hinges. Drape me with addiction without doing it all the time. Drape me without an end as I want to walk further. Drape me with promises, but spare me when they're broken. Drape me with your love and sex, but spare me when I've had enough and I'm through with you. If every woman woke up each morning satisfied with the way she looks and feels and who she is, the economy would collapse overnight. If every woman woke up each morning with a smile on her face, divorce rates would not exist. If every woman woke up each morning with a song on her lips, happy husbands didn't think with their fists. If every woman woke up each morning with energy just to be herself, the world would be a beautiful place. If every woman woke up each morning with only love on her mind, the children would all be satisfied. If every woman woke up each morning without fear, living free inside her head, the morning dew would be a jewel to look at. If every morning if every woman woke up each morning without worries on her heavy shoulders, the fountain of youth would become a reality. If every morning, every woman woke up each morning to say hello to herself in the mirror because time would be on her side, there would be no burnout syndromes. There would be no burnout syndromes because time is on her side. If every woman woke up each morning without agenda marking her reality, the world would thrive with equality, respect, and humanity. If every woman woke up each morning with the energy to be herself, if every woman woke up each morning without being a promised wife, family honor would be a thing to die for, 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 to die for.
Amazing, Gabi, really amazing. Thank you so much. Maybe we can have like a 15 minutes break.
No,
or we start the
we
panel.
cannot have a break and then to continue because people are here waiting. I mean, Tanja, it's really not okay.
Yeah, but everyone can make a break because 3 hours, it's nice for everyone to have a short break.
We are on YouTube live, broadcasted to a Facebook page of Cultural Center of Belgrade, of this institution, and many others. It is really not okay.
Yeah, we can just write a break.
Everyone who wants a break?
I think it's nice. We had a really amazing and intense performances, and I think it would be nice if we have a little break before we start the conversation.
Maybe a 10-minute break.
Yeah, 10 minutes break, and then we have still 1.5 hours to talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so I would like to thank everyone for the series of amazing performances that we just saw, and please be with us in 10 minutes. We will have a short break. Be right back. Thank you.
Bye. See you.
Yeah, I think we can all just technically either stay online or...
Everyone can stay online. We will just stop the streaming.
Yes, yes, yes.
Igore.
Čak i ako ne prekine,
I wanted to send you the videos I was telling you about, but I don't know how.
I will give you this reminder, this visit card.
Yeah, let's be like this.
And then you can send it to my email. It would be great.
Yeah, I would love that.
There you go. You have my email address.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, ja vam spremna.
And dear all, firstly, I would like to thank to Paula Chambers, Dagmara Bilon, Teresa Albor, Bojana Videkanić, Jashen, and Lady Gabi for this amazing contribution with which we have started our meeting. Yesterday we had performances in Belgrade public spaces, and we started with a performance on Republic Square, performance score number 1 by Tanja Ostojić, Unpack the Bag of Your Own. And later, in front of the National Assembly, we had a new performance score of Paula Chambers, How Long Can a Middle-Aged Woman Stand Without a Public Toilet? And later in Manješ Park, with a score of Mad Kate, City Soundscaping, Deep Listening Methodology, and Sound Mapping. We ended up our walk, or the action Misplaced Women Mapping the Belgrade, here in Centar for Cultural Decontamination. The working gathering is organized in the frame of Misplaced Women 2009-2021 exhibition of Tanja Ostojić, which I had the pleasure to curate in Podrum Gallery in Cultural Center of Belgrade and New Gallery of Visual Arts. To start from the frame, Misplaced Women is a collaborative art project which Tanja Ostojić started in 2009. It consists of series of performances and art workshop. And until now, there are contributions of over 160 individuals. Within this project, Misplaced Women community embody and enact some of the everyday life activities that thematize displacement, known to migrants, refugees, and artists, and people who are traveling the world to earn their living. These performances are dealing with migration issues, power relation, and vulnerability, particularly concerning the female bodies. It is a great pleasure to me to speak today with Tanja Ostojić, Teresa Albor, Dagmara Bilon, Paula Chambers, Jelena Dinić, Hanh, Lady Gabi, Matt Kate, Bojana Janšen, Jasmina Tešanović, Susan Merrick, Sunčica Šido, and women from the Cultural Hub Croatia who are also our guests here. Some of our dear guests are present here physically in Centar for Cultural Decontamination, and some are on their way back to their homelands, while others are present here via Zoom, and somehow this situation also corresponds with the misplacement as a central point of the project. My colleague Katarina Konstadinović and I would moderate this discussion, so feel free to raise your hands in Zoom app in case that you would like to give give us some comment or pose a question. And finally, I feel like I took too much time, and I would kindly ask Tanja Ostojić and Katarina Kostadinović to take over and to add if I have missed to say something.
Well, hello, everyone joining us live and via Zoom. Firstly, thank you very much for all your contributions, and especially our present guests, artists, and members of the Misplaced Women community that took part in an amazing performance program which we organized yesterday. This exhibition has been in preparation for almost 2 years now, and due to some rescheduling, of course, because of the COVID pandemic, we have finally realized it now and opened the first part of the exhibition on Thursday at the Podrum Gallery of Cultural Center of Belgrade, and me as a part of an organizer, Cultural Center of Belgrade. I would like to thank you, everyone. Especially Tanja, thank you for your patience and your hard work, and especially my colleague Dejan. I joined in to this process a bit later on, but Dejan and Tanja have been working on this exhibition for 2 years now. Without further ado, I would like to give the word to Tanja, and afterwards I would like to ask everyone here to kind of summarize what we've done during these past 2-3 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Katarina and Dejan, for your introduction, and thanks everyone who joined today in Zoom, especially for the amazing moving performances we could see. And I see how some contributions are interlaying. Paula, who had to just leave a minute ago to the airport, was suggesting this performance score yesterday that like 5 of us took part in stretching the golden ropes from the public toilet. And then today Bojana talking about basically why women have to pee during the shift, right? They should just wear Pampers. So just like this issue that like how ideas and how they are interrelaying, and basically this is probably the first panel of the Misplaced Women project, and it's quite interesting. It's been a very long process and incredible number of contributions. And when we had some of the meetings preparing for the Belgrade, I was already so moved to see some of the amazing people and friends with whom I collaborated in those years in one Zoom room. Now I can't see you, we're just seeing us at the moment, but already here, like people from different stations of the performance and of the development of the projects. And for me, I think the most interesting would be basically in this panel so far, maybe that everyone says a few words about themselves and their motivation to take part in the project, and basically their experience with it. And yes, exactly, maybe we could also learn a little bit more about the performances we have seen today, and we have seen these days here also in Belgrade. Is there someone who would like to start?
Well, I can begin. I'm Mad Kate. I'm a performance artist and a sound artist, and I'm particularly interested in mapping contexts, especially in the use of field recordings, so that the mapping of that the extraction of sound, as it were, is contextualized in many ways, in emotional ways and political ways, and that the mapping of sound also carries our very different stories of migration and our experiences with migration and movement. across borders. I'm also a sex worker and interested in sexuality and gender studies, and I've always been sort of interested in the way in which migration and transitioning across borders intersects with transitioning across genders and across the borders within our bodies and between bodies. So it's been really wonderful to be part of this project with you, Tanja, and all who took part. Thanks especially to the curatorial team who put it together. So we got to see so many different performances from Tanja and from members of the workshops over the years, and the wide breadth of work at two of the galleries on the first night. And then yesterday we got to do some performance interventions together in the streets, which were really valuable. So it was the first time that I took part in the unpacking of the bag, actually. Together with other people, and to have this display of, I would say for me what came up was a lot about the display of my own privilege, of my passport, freedom to move and to travel, the few things that I have, but the very powerful things that I have the privilege to own, such as a phone and a sound recorder, these various devices that I carry around, and the display of money, and to put that out in the square was, I felt in this was also very powerful in what I was learning for myself, about myself. To be part as well of Paula's performance around this idea of the differences between genders and access to how we think of our bodies, being able to be explicit, the explicit act of taking a piss, what that means, where one feels that they can do it, how this controls and manages our bodies when we do or do not have access to a place to take a piss. So this was interesting to do in a physical way, an embodied way. And then we did the deep listening journey, and this is a repeat performance that I've done several times with different collaborators, and it was lovely to do this with a group and go through the action of deep listening and seeing what came up for us, what we were hearing in this new space, in this park. I don't remember the name of the park where we were.
Manjaš.
Manjaš. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you. Maybe we could have somebody from the online group, maybe Teresa Albor, with whom I had an opportunity to collaborate in the Misplaced Women workshop several years ago in London that was hosted by Live Art Development Agency, who continued working on this project for many years together with Dagmara, Bilon. We've seen both of you today, your really moving contributions. So maybe Teresa, you could talk to us. I don't know if Dagmara managed to connect already. Could you please tell us about peace, about the climate change?
Tanja, Teresa left conversation.
In Dhaka.
Teresa left conversation.
Did she?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so unfortunately we cannot have Teresa now. Dagmara probably didn't manage to connect because of technical reasons. But
maybe Bojana, who...
Maybe we can have Bojana, who is one of these people that invited me to the North America to do the Misplaced Woman performance there. And Bojana herself, incredibly powerful performance artist, and we are both part of the Crvena diaspora, and when Bojana invited me to perform in Toronto, I asked her to hold the Misplaced Woman sign for me at the airport. and then to write a story about that. And that was such an amazing, incredible story about her looking back into herself as a refugee, child refugee from Sarajevo, and the whole way on. And now I think it's really amazing to have you deliver this performance today about transition and the condition of women workers in the Croatia and Bosnia, right? Could you tell us about this piece, please?
Hello, Tanja. Hi, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you to the organizers. I know this is it's kind of like herding cats, getting all of the pieces together. So I'm very thankful. I have known you, Tanja, for many years now, and somehow with the Missing Women, we were able to collaborate. As you said, you came. I invited you to Toronto to the International Performance Festival here, and it was such a pleasure to witness the work that you do in person. It touched me for numerous reasons, but number one, because I was a refugee as a child, and this is why I'm in Canada, in fact. I came here as a refugee, as a government-sponsored refugee, and with my family because of the war in Bosnia. So it was really important to think about what it means when you're 15, 16 years old to be displaced, but also the precarity of that situation. And I'm thinking not of myself now, but of other teenagers who are crossing the Balkan route at this very moment and are stuck at borders. And myself, I was in London and in an extremely precarious situation in the middle of this enormous city. And I remember feeling fearful, like I was really afraid for my own life because I could see how easily one can slip and just be lost completely. So I was very happy to contribute my story to Tanja's ongoing, growing work, because I felt that I could say something because I did experience this thing of being a refugee. And the work that I'm doing that you've seen is called Iz Tranzizione Sana, or Transitioned Out. That is an ongoing work that also deals with displacement, but also what makes the displacement, which is economic, material conditions of exploitation, neo-colonialism, neo-imperialism, of which the kind of stories of refugees and migrants we are listening of, but also the destruction of Yugoslavia, which was my own country. So all of these kind of things are interconnected, but I'm really interested in the stories of women, not just in Bosnia and Croatia, but across former Yugoslavia. And the work weaves into this narrative reports by IMF, World Bank, news stories and stories of women themselves into this narrative. And it was very poignant because I was thinking when Tanja, you invited me, and when Centar za kulturnu dekontaminaciju or the curators invited me to think about a contribution, I was the last poem, I call them reports or poems. The last poem about disappearance, I was thinking about this very thing that you bring up, Tanja, which is the what does a refugee feel, which is what I felt, which is that you want to erase yourself because you're in everybody's way. Like nobody wants a refugee. Like nobody wants to see you, no matter how much they want to help you, nobody wants to see you. So what is it that you do? You want to erase yourself from existence, which is what I was thinking about. And I think this is an important point, both politically and for other reasons. So the work kind of weaves all these things as we speak. So I'm gonna stop here.
Yes, yes. Well, you know what? I think that your work is so topical for the past 300 years at least, you know, and it's not gonna end very soon, you know, this kind of misplaced women, because women are by definition misplaced. And like my personal life, I call it fake autobiography, my life without me. And because all the most important things that happened to my life had nothing to do with my decisions, with my will, or with my power, you know, and mostly it's like some kind of happenings that's above your head, and being a woman, it's twice as much or 100 times as much, you know. Somebody else decides for your life, you know. And I think right now, what we're living here, the COVID and the post-COVID situation, sorry, I'm not speaking about Yugoslavia, because yeah, I'm old enough to remember, and, you know, more than you do because you're younger, but I'm like beyond it, you know, because I gave up. I just gave up. I think that the globalization of the Balkanization is so much underway with this COVID situation, and that this misplacement of all of us, but as I said, especially women, is something that we should react in a better way than we did it with former Yugoslavia and the wars that hit our heads. And we even have more experience, you know. And like I'm doing this times, since I never had, you know, a real homeland, I never had the first language. I grew up in like 3 languages between the countries, never had a mother language, always a second language. Now I'm living in 4 languages every day, you know. It doesn't get better, it gets worse, you know, but it is better in a way. And I'm trying not to take it as a mishap, but to take it as my advantage, because as you all well know, that women are those who work best and better in the situations of distress, which now we're living. And what I'm like, I kind of call it a performance, but I'm not sure what I'm really doing with my life and with myself these days. But I do this, I say, I'm doing nothing. I'm training myself to do nothing, because whatever I think of doing, or whatever I did before this crack of the system, you know, and I'm most of the time now I'm spending in Ibiza, you know, but it's all the same, US, Ibiza, the lockdown in paradise can be just as bad as the lockdown anywhere else, you know. And this fake of normality that is coming back now, and this war between culture and non-culture, vax, no vax, you know, fake gurus. I'm not even taking part. I have my own opinion. This is so disturbing, and it's so a creative turmoil, I think. And I have no opinion. So what I'm doing is like doing nothing. I'm trying not to do anything in order not to do something wrong. And the word refugee, I was never a real refugee, but I think I'm still a refugee in many ways, you know. And whatever you were talking before, all of you, I think I experienced a lot of that, and my daughter even more, you know. I never changed my passport. I never changed my address. I still have the address on my passport, which is a place where I never lived. I don't even own it anymore. So if somebody wanted legally to pursue me, they can't even get to me, you know. I mean, it's like I'm beyond everything, you know, beyond in good and in bad. And I like it that way, because I don't see any secure place once you enter any system, because I don't want to be in one system. And there are more than one system. Now we have like misplacement of everybody. I mean, nationalism, small, little, nasty nationalisms. And I can't even belong to one nation by default. Imagine belonging to nationalism. And the other thing I'm doing, which I started before the COVID, and then it became really very difficult to do it because of the bans of going out, walking, is, you know, I had this thing called lying with the homeless, because somehow wherever I go, I feel the safest place is to sit on the pavement with these people who live on the pavements, and I kind of share with them stories. And I mean, I listen to their stories. Sometimes we have a drink, we have a smoke, we have this, that, and the other, because it's all prohibited now. You can't smoke, you can't drink. Do you hear me? Because I hear a strange echo now. Is it okay? I hear many noises now and not myself. Is it okay? Oh, you hear me well. Okay, because all of a sudden, this is very strange. All of a sudden I had a crowd in my earphones, And well, anyway, bottom line, that's what I wanted to say. I mean, these noises probably said that I should stop. And, I wrote this book many years ago in the beginning of the 90s called The Suitcase. And this resembles a lot because of what Tanja is doing now. I do a lot of performances, but I do mostly now tech art performances. I believe in technology, and I always wanted to use technology for human and artistic purposes instead of what it's used nowadays. Mostly it has a dystopia, But that Suitcase book that I wrote, afterwards it was published in many languages, but the first one was in California, San Francisco, and it became like a magazine where other refugees or people who felt displaced, but mostly women and children, 90%, wrote their own stories, and then I would edit them, translate them, and because most of these people were better in talking than in writing, But speaking of the Nobel Prize, for example, now it occurred to me, I don't know why it comes now, but it is with women and misplaced women. And they were always speculating who will get it. And like if Dubravka Ugrešić was, on the top list, she might get it. And all of a sudden I thought, yes, Dubravka deserves this. And, not because she's friend of most of us and wrote in our names. But then I thought, who would really deserve, whom I would give a Nobel Prize after all the Me Too movement and the scandal they had there inside. I have this neighbor, because I don't live anymore in Serbia, in Molerova, downtown Vračar, it's close to the center. And her name is Mica, she's an ex-prostitute. And then she became the legend of our neighborhood. And she's extremely beautiful, still beautiful. Her hand is crippled because her parent crippled her hand so she could beg even better. She suffered incredible stuff from the man in her life, her husband, her son, and so on, from the police. She doesn't have any document, because she can't even get a document. She doesn't want a document, but the whole street is feeding her and taking care of her. And now she became a so-called decent woman. But what's very interesting about her is that she can really talk. She can hardly write. But when she tells stories, she really deserves a Nobel Prize. And I'm sure there are many others who can do that, And well, she lives in a basement. She never wanted to get out of her basement because she says that's the place where she feels the safest. And very often when I'm kind of down, like I'm these days, because I really don't know what to do with this world and with myself, I feel like really Mica is the safest place. Mica's place is the safest place in the world. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for anyway including me. Yeah, it was a real shame that I couldn't get there. Yeah, it's just kind of really bamboozled me now that you can't just go somewhere because you're not vaccinated or you don't have the right test, or the whole time during lockdown we've been told don't go out, stay home, don't hang out with more than 5 people, which I've been doing, also been obeying everything, been staying healthy the whole time. And, all of a sudden it's like, even though I am healthy, and no, you can't fly because the test hasn't arrived on time. And not because you don't have the right passport or you don't have the right boarding pass or whatever. So yeah, I guess we're entering a new world of, who can travel, who can't travel, who's misplaced, who isn't misplaced. When you invited me to do a performance from Berlin, I thought I'll do it from home because I wasn't supposed to be here this weekend. I was supposed to be with you in Belgrade. So I thought, even in my own house, I feel misplaced this weekend because I was supposed to be with you. What can I say? My whole thing, as you know, I was also a refugee migrant from Romania into Australia. I left Romania, was a child. My father escaped through Vienna. My mother's also been a refugee from Greece, Macedonia. So I come from a whole history full of misplaced women. My mother, my grandmother on my dad's side was Austrian in Transylvania. So, not allowed to speak her language after the World War II. So I've got that in my blood, I guess, and been ever since I've left Romania as a child, I've been trying to find my place. Where do I belong? And I found that it's not just territorial that you are misplaced. It's also ageism, gender-wise, also if you're a parent or you're not a parent, if you're older or not older, if you're sexy or not sexy, the way you look. So I think women are misplaced in so many ways, according to looks, according to their age, their everything. So I thought in my performance that I would include all these elements, that how I've been feeling misplaced for a long time, as an artist in Australia, as a Romanian in Australia. There wasn't much a big community of Romanians there, and so I always felt like I didn't belong in Australia either. I left Romania learning different things, believing in different things, in different values, whereas in Australia, there weren't those values that I believed in were relevant anymore. So that was kind of like, if I felt even more misplaced. And then I came to Berlin quite young, just at the time of the wall coming down. And, I really had the most incredible time living here in the early 90s after the wall coming down. And really for the first time, I felt like, this is my home. No one really cares how rich I am, how poor I am. I really, Berlin for me, it's been my grounding since. And for the last few years, I've also been feeling like Berlin is getting gentrified. It's not the same as it was. Not that I expected it to be the same, but at the same time, I fear that Berlin is also losing its kind of unique quality that provided confidence and a place for all of us, the freaks, the displaced, the misplaced, the widows, the queer, the feminist, the old. So at the same time, I'm just trying to kind of also since the lockdown, since the corona, I've been kind of going back in history since we weren't able to communicate with the present when we're in lockdown. I started to kind of visit cemeteries, places where I could still see. I was really missing somehow the past. I was really nostalgic about the 80s, the 90s, the noughts. I just felt like the present is not my present. It's weird. It's foreign. It's like we don't know how the future is shaping up. So I just kind of been feeling like also traveling in my own head when we weren't able to travel, like going back home, traveling through different cities that I've been to, and you know, connecting all that. And that's how I've been kind of stayed afloat and alive during the lockdown. I've lost a lot of jobs. You know, my income went downhill. Thank God for the German system that provided freelancers with some income. Nevertheless, you know, I've lost jobs, I've lost opportunities. So I just felt lost, even more misplaced in a city like Berlin, where I've always felt at home, where I've always felt like this place will protect me. I feel safe here because I'm different, and you know, there's no norms here. The normative gaze isn't an issue here. Everyone is accepted, everyone's welcome. But all of a sudden, because of lockdown and corona, I just felt like, well, I don't know, I can't work there, I can't go, I can't travel. And now with this whole new ways of traveling, and who can travel, who can't, who's considered to be allowed to go to these places and not. And I'm not, you know, an anti-vax or a queer denker. I'm not any of those. But I just believe that, you know, I followed all these rules. I didn't catch corona. I've actually did what I was kind of expected to do, yet I'm not able to travel unless I have this full stamp, my digital passport. And yeah, a digital passport, it's not where you come from now, what country, what visa you've got. Now the digital passport has a completely new meaning, and it does change the world, the way we travel, the way, you know, and it's Europe, non-Europe. I was in Serbia actually like a month ago. Before I was fully, well, you know, vaccinated. From one day to another, before, if I would have traveled at the end of August, I would have just had to have a Schnell test, a rapid test, antigen. And then, like, because it was September, I was requested to have a PCR test, which I got it. But, you know, it's only because it's non-European country. And I had to have that test because apparently when I came back to Germany, because of, like, you know, Serbia at the time was considered to be like a high risk area. So I'm just totally baffled by this whole new definitions of what's risk. I always thought high risk areas were areas, countries where political system was wrong or corrupt, or, you know, there was war and everything. And now we've got completely new definitions about high risk area countries. So I just thought through my performance today that I would challenge everything, that I would go through the past, and I would kind of like cover myself with all these kind of memories, or I don't even know. I just kind of, yeah, I guess, yeah, I must say, I have been nostalgic for better times. And although I'm a really strong person, you know, I do believe that we'll have a good, hopefully a very great future soon. For some reason, I've been really, really nostalgic about the past, places I've been to where I have felt safe, where I felt comfort. And yeah, so I'm just kind of working with Misplacement now in a different way to when we did this workshop in Berlin 3 years ago. Yeah. I wish I was there. I really wanted to come, and I was so looking forward to. And anyway, I'm grateful that you've still given me the opportunity to be here through Zoom and, you know, show what my concept of Misplaced Woman today is. And my misplacement is now, and I will, you know, in the future. I don't feel placed in the future. I am worried about the future, I must say. And you know, I guess I'm gonna cry. I feel like you know, the past somehow felt more safe than now. I don't know. I did this performance in Novi Sad where I actually went to the Danube, and I got this bucket of water from the Danube, and because the Danube for me means a lot. My mother crossed the Danube from Greece into Romania in the 50s when the kids were like big, escaping civil war in Greece. My father crossed over the Danube from Romania into Austria as a political dissident escaping communism. My cousin swam over the Danube into Serbia from Romania, escaping communism. And for me, I was just like cleansing myself with the water from the Danube and cleansing the gallery space and the window space, using that element and knowing Danube is like for me and my family means so much. I also completely cried. So now, because you're in Serbia and I'm thinking about Serbia, you know, my tears are coming back. Because I guess we were neighbors, you know, when I was from Romania, I guess I was from Transylvania, not far from the Serbian border. So thank you. Thanks for having me here and thanks for making me cry.
We talked about you a lot these days, and today we were looking at the Danube, and yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome to see all the other performances.
And you're completely right. I mean, it's true that now with the COVID measures, people are additionally checked, and the documents are. There are additional lists of documents that are needed, and I noticed when I lived now in Turkey for several months that basically additional identification that is required because of the pandemic causes additional troubles to the people that are not completely documented or that are undocumented. Yes. Thank you. Susan, would you like to say a few words yourself? You took part in you actually came to Berlin on your own initiative, suggesting to work with me, and then besides producing your own piece, we also produced one of the Misplaced Women performances there. So what was your notion of misplacement, basically?
Hi, Tanja, and hi, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here and to have seen the performances. I've been keeping an eye on everything over the weekend. I initially planned to try and come over, but I couldn't get funding in time. So my idea on misplacement with regard to the project was twofold. It was around my own history of where I'd come from in terms of just in the UK, more in terms of my class than actual movement. Nobody in my family ever travelled. You didn't go on holiday. There wasn't very much money in the family. So when I took a trip to Berlin when I was 22, it was the first time I went abroad. And so that trip to Berlin was really important to me in remembering where my family had come from. My mum was given away by her dad in a pub when she was a child. I suppose our displacement as a family was all around abuse and familial abuse. So going to Berlin and traveling and feeling an independent person at age 22 was really important to me. So when I had the opportunity to go to Berlin, I contacted Tanja and asked if I could come to Berlin to have a look at, so my work, stepping back slightly, is I look at how women have access to spaces. So how women have access to art spaces, but how women have access to art and to different platforms. So I was looking at the time at how can we as women who often have other responsibilities like childcare, other jobs, we're usually running several jobs at once to financially manage. How do we work with other people, collaborate with other people in short spaces of time that we can do that and have meaning from it and can do it valuably? And so I asked Tanja if I could come to Berlin and work with her for 2 days and see if we could meaningfully work together and collaborate in that time. So I came and Tanja invited me to do the Misplaced Women project. And when I thought about that, I thought, well, if I'm coming to Berlin, immediately I think back to this first trip to Berlin I did which was me traveling as a woman for the first time, independently, having some freedom of movement, you know, this huge privilege that many of us have now, which my family had not had just because of financial depravity, I guess. Likewise, I'm a sign language interpreter, and I have found that that in-between nature of being a translator, being an interpreter, is something that stays with you throughout your career, no matter what experience you get and qualifications. So I put the two elements together, and I used my travel diary from 2002 when I first went to Berlin, and my British Sign Language, which is what I use when I'm interpreting. And I interpreted my travel diary at a train station in Berlin. Tanja, I can't remember the name of the train station there. And yeah, so it was the performance was 30 minutes on the train station platform. But it was the culmination of the conversations Tanja and I had and the thoughts around what misplaced meant to me within my art practice. You know, the women, so many women are misplaced within art practice anyway. Who can access it? Who can even be an artist? Who can see work? Who has any idea, you know, that an art world even exists and that it can be useful or meaningful to you? And that's where my practice currently lies still, working with a group of local women in Aldershot. I live in a military town in the UK in the south. Very little access to art or interest in art. So I'm working currently with a group of women to look at how they can have access to art as well. It doesn't have to be this complete barrier to them. It doesn't have to be language that is alien. It can be accessible, and it can be really useful. So yeah, that's kind of where my practice sits, and why my project piece was around being in Berlin and the nature of the in-between, and that translator of how you provide access between spaces, but also within the art world to non-artists.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm trying to see, because we have Dagmara. I don't know, Dagmara, can you hear us? Because you are in the Zoom, but we can't see you. Because
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Brilliant, brilliant. We really all loved your performance. That was so intense. And
here we are. Here's Diana. Wait, I'm just going to try to turn around the camera. So we're a whole group together.
You were really amazing, really.
Yes, we're here with our children as well. So there's Regis, he's hiding. And my friend Robin, who did the live stream, and Rachel, who did some documenting of the action today as well. And I did pictures. And me, I did pictures as well. So yeah, so we're having, like, just kind of just checked in, connected over to you in the last half an hour, because we wanted to tune into the conversations that you are having around misplacement and the event today. And we didn't manage to see any more performances because we were on the bridge and things like this, so we had to kind of pack down and went for a walk, and just sat down now to reflect about the experience today. Yeah.
Bit of time for you to get a quiet spot to connect with us. And yes. It's really, it was a really amazing piece, and you've been working now for quite a while with the Misplaced Women's course, and you have also developed your own kind of, so to say, score with the Becoming One with the Bag that you performed today. But I think also the piece you have done at Olympic Park in London was starting from this piece, and you worked with many different suitcases and bags, and sometimes people look at it. I think your piece was like the most popular in the in the recent exhibitions, and people always like, okay, do you bend towards the front or towards the back? And so tell us about this the feeling of being inside of the bag. And when we were looking at you, it seemed that you are like losing stability and wondering if you were like doing it intentionally or you were getting disoriented.
Yes, yes. So, yes, it's funny, Tanja, you asked me about how was the experience like in the bag, because actually today, for the first time, after having done this action, you know, a few times over the years, for the first time today, I thought, oh, wow, I would actually like to have a phone with me inside the bag and be able to record and maybe communicate with you or someone. Because it is quite an interesting space in there. You know, I cannot see anything what is happening around me, and that's why it was, I think, this thing, Misplaced Women. I think what is really at the forefront to me is the importance of the support of one another, like knowing that Diana is next to me, and sometimes I would say, Diana, are you there? You know, that helps me, I guess, to orientate, or can help one to orientate, is the support of, you know, of each other's presence within our lives. So Diana's presence was very grounding and anchoring. I didn't know where I was in the space. Last night, when I got the bag out and the shoes out, I experimented a little bit with this idea of putting the shoes on, of like, you know, it's like the fairy tale of Cinderella, that, you know, it's like the shoes don't quite fit, like being in a place where you don't feel like you quite fit. So I played around with this action last night, and then today I didn't know what is, like, should I just stand still? Should I play around with the idea of trying to put on the shoes and they don't fit? So then at the end today, it was something around stability, not feeling stable, I guess. Like we talked with Regis today about, you know, when you have flat feet, you stand grounded and rooted in the ground, but these high heels, you know, they're so awkward and so unstable, and like this, like England. I mean, at the moment, the situation in England is very unstable. I think not just for me or for us as Europeans, but just generally a combination of Brexit and COVID, and it's just very unstable. So yeah, I think I found it in the action of the shoes, of feeling unstable. So I played around with it through the movement. But then at some point I did feel disorientated, and I did feel the bridge on the side, the rail. So then I just kind of said, Diana, and Diana said yes. And then I could feel, kind of find my place sort of back to the bridge again. So yeah, that's, I don't know if you want to say something, how it was like for you, or the...
Well, I guess that, hello everyone. For me, it meant a lot. I felt a sense of protection, but also feeling strongly how one's position affects another person. And so I was also paying a lot of attention, and there was a lot of questioning around, should I follow her while she's falling? Well, it seems like she's falling, or she's going to off the bridge and near the rail. Does she need my protection? Do I need to move myself? And how that will impact the whole scene of the performance. So for me, it's been very much about, yeah, my presence in relations to Dagmara, and really brought up this sense of connections to one another, protection, but also questioning our place into interventions. Do we need to intervene, or staying there is just enough for her, just knowing that I'm there. So yeah.
But you know what happened, Dagmara? You were not able to see the performance. I think after Dagmara was actually Bojana's performance, Bojana Videkanić from Toronto, and she's done the piece with the 2 screens. So we could see her having this refugee bag over her head on one screen. And on the other screen, we could see her inside of this bag. And, and she was reading a very powerful text that she wrote, you know, about condition of female labor in former Yugoslavia and stuff, and this stuff. So I think this, when you said now, like, yes, I would like to see this space inside, it's quite interesting because it brings it further with like,
yes,
okay,
like a further development of the dimension of inside the bag.
Exactly. And we could see we could see the audience basically walking away, so to say. Mainly people were coming towards your direction, but maybe your colleague could tell us like about people, because you couldn't see, like what were the reactions that we couldn't see in camera.
The reactions of the people.
There were very different reactions, but it really brought a lot of staring and attention. I felt a bit the responsibility of being your eyes in that situation, and a bit of exposure at the same time. Because it's like nobody knew who was in the bag, but I was there with my face holding but also, the responsibility of being your eyes in that way. But the reactions were very, very different.
But there were some people, when I got out of the bag, people stood basically. There was a little crowd, you know, a little group of people that stood and watched and took pictures, and some people just passed through. So,
but also looking back, lots of people were just looking back, just passing by and then were not sure, and then looking back again and going a little bit further and looking back again, which was
The interesting thing for me about this performing this piece, you know, is because each time there is a different context to the piece. Initially, Tanja, when we performed it in the Olympics Bridge, it was a lot to do with the history, with my mother and my story of migration and my childhood. And now it's because of the context we are in now, through Brexit and being a European here, and the instability of the country. It was a different piece, and it was different. I experienced it differently because of the context we're in now. And Diana had a good idea of maybe if we do it again, to maybe have like leaflets to give more of the context, explaining a little bit more around the project, to raise awareness, that it's a possibility to raise awareness upon these issues in a different way.
Thank you. Anyone wants to connect or give a feedback to Dagmara? Thank you so much, Dagmara.
Thank you, Tanja.
Stay with us if you manage technically.
I will. I'm just going to mute myself, but I can hear you.
Okay, so we had, for example, so this issue of like a reaction of audience. For example, when we were working in Split, the audience was extremely reserved, and we could do basically everything in the public space. It was not an issue for the police. And when we were working here yesterday, we had 2 policemen and civilian when we worked in the park at Pionirski Park. And they immediately were reporting and describing what was going on. Katarina was in charge, and she was very authoritative talking to them. Because Misplaced Women performances take place mainly in the public spaces, or what we believe should be public spaces. And with this project, we investigate a lot what the public space is and what kind of public space where, and what is possible to do where. And for example, I had experience of working in Istanbul in September with a very, very intense workshop. And This was the only place where we actually get a permission to work in the public space. And it was in a more wealthy city district, it was possible to do a lot. But when we went to a city district that was loaded with already some protests starting in this area, for example, Kadıköy, then the police stopped many of our actions, and they were 2 policemen in civilian following whatever we wanted to do and prohibiting or allowing something, but mainly prohibiting. And this was quite interesting. Katarina, could you say maybe something about yesterday?
Well, this was my first time, let's say, participating in the Misplaced Women performances. Well, not as a performer, but as a recording help or technician's help. But yes, what I could notice, because I've had experience in performances in public spaces, is that audience, well, they don't know that they are the audience, but the people who are part of this process in a way that the performances are taking place in a public space because performers occupy the public space, the space that is usually, not part of any art agenda. And so, yeah, what I could see and notice is that everyone was interested in what was going on. Of course, the performers couldn't talk. Well, that was their way of handling the performance. But yeah, we kind of tried to inform the people about the project and about what's going on. You also interact with some of the younger members of the local community that even robbed Kate on the Republic Square. And yes, the situation with the policeman at the Pionirski Park, the park next to the National Assembly, well, next to the parliament, was a like everyday situation. Like whenever something unordinary happens in the public space, usually the policemen, want the information about what was happening there. Yes, and even more and more, especially in this area near the National Assembly, the police is usually in the civilian clothes because this place is well known as a protest starting place, as a place where the spark begins, usually in the when of course people want to get to the street what they want to say. And we have witnessed the police brutality last year, especially during summer, during July, where people took to the streets some of their let's say everything that they have against the system and everything against the ruling policy and a ruling party. So yeah, we may be so sensitive when the policeman usually approaches us and asks us what are we doing there and to show our documentation, but we also have to know our right to ask them for their identification and for them to present themselves to us. So yeah, I kind of really enjoyed like this walk through the city and mapping the city with your performances, finishing with a Kate's piece at the Manjaš Park and recording the sound and also the passerbys and their reaction to what was happening. So yeah, that's the short story, my contribution.
Thank you. I've seen, I haven't noticed police at the Republic Square, but I saw last night photos from Jelena Dinić who was packing a bag of her own.
Yes, he
and
approached
on her photo,
Jelena.
There were quite some policemen standing above her.
Asking, what are we doing?
Yes, and he didn't realize, and that yes, that was a cute moment yesterday. when these two policemen were in Pionirski Park next to the National Assembly in civilian clothes. There were, when being informed what we are doing there, then they started informing other people that we are doing a performance. So they took part in this performance also by informing other people what we're doing there.
You mean the passing buyers?
Yeah. The people who wanted, that looked with their eyes who they should ask what's going on. And so the policeman would say, oh, it's a performance. So yeah, they kind of, it was a very funny moment for me.
Okay.
And yeah, the policeman that approached Jelena, that was in his uniform, he immediately just went away as soon as I told him that this is a performance, is an art piece,
Okay.
so that everything is okay. We're not interrupting any, let's say, public order. So.
That's nice. That's nice. I had in Istanbul this strategy of, we had basically a team member that was only dealing with these two policemen and civilians. She negotiated with him every score we wanted to do, and most of the scores he actually refused. But every time I saw him, I just said, good ass, or something, because the day before, Arthur was suggesting amazing score in which we were basically walking in this fancy district and giving a man, passing by man, compliments, complimenting the way they looked. And they were mainly enjoying that, laughing or being quite shocked. And we were like a group of women, doing this. But when I was addressing this policeman, he was a bit, he felt rather embarrassed. Anyhow, I have a group photo with each of these policemen and civilians for the archive. Maybe you could say something about reactions in Split or the whole process of you produced basically, Culture Hub Croatia produced the whole workshop this April in Split, and it was really great to work with you and with the participants there.
Thank you, Tanja. We are also happy to be here. Yes, we organized as a non-profit organization that is based in Split. We organized a workshop this April, and we invited Tanja for a few days in Split. And we did an open call through which we actually had 6 very good performers, participants, and we actually took Split as empty canvas, which was at that time, because it was April, there were no tourists, COVID measures were still pretty strong, so the whole organization part, yes, it was a bit challenging, but we managed to do it. And we basically, and it was also super cold, not to forget that. So we basically walked through the city, and we mapped some spaces that were interesting, and basically the participants chose spaces that were either really that had a very famous history, like Peristyle, or some places of that were symbols of transition and displacement, like port or a bus station. And it was also an interesting background of all of our participants, because they, some of them were, they were all in weird situations of displacement, either as expats in the city, either as people who wanted to leave the city for study reasons or for different reasons. And yes, so the city was pretty empty, but there were here and there some past buyers. And the reaction in Split is always, people are not very curious what is happening, and they are pretty ignorant. but we did manage to actually get some tourists participating in one of the performances. For us as an organization, it was also interesting because we ended up as one of the performers as well, not intentionally, but it actually kind of organically developed through the workshop. So basically, we as we felt this displacement as an organization, as cultural workers, as a female-led organization in a city that didn't provide us the space for work. So we were basically a nomadic organization without our space for exhibiting, for working, for doing anything, and just using so-called parasiting into public spaces or other spaces. And so we also did a performance which was interpretation of Tanja's score with a sign. So we hold a sign, misplaced organization in one of the empty spaces in the city that was supposed to be given to one cultural organization. In the end, we didn't get it, but it was definitely experience through which we learned a lot, and we are really grateful that we became part of this community, and that all the performances most of the performances can be seen now in the exhibition in the cultural center.
Yes, thank you so much. I mean, from the experience working with the workshop, and basically, Misplaced Women does work in the public space, but not as a public space, as neutral, general square where all the performances are going to happen. But we really looked for each of the performances for a specific public space that would host this piece, you know. And the peristyle was like, for me, for example, for my testimony about the rape attempts, important as the a priori, like a kind of public space where you can deliver a speech. Like, and for example, for Ines, it was a space, she was sitting in front of the dome, basically, the main Catholic church in the city. So in these terms, we looked for that. And I was actually intentionally including you in the workshop because I thought that, you know, we didn't want it to have you just an organizers who are mute and watching, because you had quite an issue to bring into this workshop. And we are happy to learn that you got a space in the meantime. Yes. I just got a message from Teresa, and she says that she could not stay longer, unfortunately, but she says that she really said it was great to see everyone's work, and it was a good example of how welcoming and inclusive this project is, but how messy it can be using technology. But I think now, Teresa, I just would like to mention, because she's been contributing to this project for many years, and now as she's based in Bangladesh, she works mainly with the climate change refugees. And we had Hani here today, and these days with us in Berlin, who is working in the field. She's not an artist, you know, she works precisely in the field of the climate change refugees, and we talked about that yesterday. So she worked for the European Commission, and now she works for the in Dakar, in Senegal, basically. And it would be very interesting to look at different topics that have involved within the Misplaced Women project, and then to try to host discussions around those topics. Also, because the archive is so giant, so far I worked on it on the project blog, categorizing that via cities that the interventions happened, and then via the way of appearing, like performances, workshops, scores, photography, and stories. But it would be really interesting to look at the topics and then the issues evolving around the topics. For example, the misplacement in gender, that we had several really important contributions about. And it started with migration, and it's probably the most loaded content we have. But we also have several works dialoguing around misplaced women and the COVID context, or maybe you can help me, Dan, with all these topics that we were also arranging in the show. And
well, the show is actually arranged chronologically and in a way also by performance scores, and therefore we actually, I mean, the contributions are really strong in a way that they're actually starting from the performance score, but they're actually telling, everybody is telling their own story, or the story actually which is important to them in actually a sense of misplacement, not only as migrant context, but also misplacement in a way how someone feels its gender, or actually his or her profession, and so on. So in a way there are, yes, many topics, but it's also 160 contributions so far. And at the beginning, actually, in the first couple of years, many artists actually have participated according to the scores, but I would say that from last year, even many of them have managed to actually go over this score, and actually, as we could see from these examples that are exhibited in Podrum Gallery from a workshop in Split, they were actually doing something completely different in a way, how their daily routine is looking alike, how they actually feel inside the society, and also culturally, and in a sense of religion, in a way how actually one of the performances also telling a story of how actually someone feels similar to Mary Magdalene. So there is actually a lot of different topics, but also maybe it would be good now to somehow wrap it up. And also I would like to hear something more from Sunčica and Jelena, who were also participating yesterday in the workshop, but they are also contributing in Misplaced Women for many years now.
Yes, this was, thank you, Dad, my second experience yesterday that I have within this project, and the first time we did it after, before some 6 years maybe ago. We were actually in a completely different situation because we were unpacking our bags and stuff at the railway station, and that was actually also pointed in time where we have this huge wave of migration traveling through Serbia as a transit country. So this experience back then was actually bringing us into some kind of unusual exchange with people we had the chance to meet, and there were all, of course, as on each other's station, very interested to hear from us what we are doing. But I think this other part, that we were actually interested in their current situation and in their life, in this misplacement that brought them actually to our place, that was really interesting, because in exchanging with them we found out that there are many similar items actually in each bag, and I think it also came to some kind of exchange, like please have and keep this scarf, for example, because it wasn't so warm back then. And so I think This was something else. Yesterday we did the same workshop after many years, and we were doing it on the on the Square of Republic. So we had a completely different spontaneous setup, so to say, and the passing buyers, they were also very curious of what we are doing. But they were, of course, as in at the Square of the Republic, for example, some foreigners, some tourists that approached me and wanted to know why are we unpacking our stuff. So I just had this like 1 or 2 minutes to tell them the essence of the project and to tell them that we are actually doing it within the artistic project. And I missed in this last workshop this conversation we had actually at the railway station. And we didn't, I think, had yesterday so much time to exchange. And I don't know if people were willing actually to exchange. I think at the Square of the Republic they were rather interested into seeing what's going on and not. And on the other hand, these 6 years ago, these refugees that we met were actually really in this exchange.
They
with
had
us.
a little more time.
Yes, it was also a longer workshop, I think. Yes, yes.
And as Dan said, every time is different. The Misplaced Women became a platform for me personally to heal myself, to learn, to think it over, all the things that are socially and personally interesting to me.
Yes, and I also heard yesterday we were having Good Habits, this program that we are having, and we visited also this Podrum exhibition, that actually this project influenced your life so much that you actually
I have my personal good habits, even if they don't, they didn't work in the 2 months
during the pandemic,
but during the quarantine. I
the
had
lockdown.
my own good habits and visited all the places they showed me in that.
Yes, actually, I heard yesterday, for example, about this life-changing, about you connected with different people and staying together with them and actually being also involved in their other programs. So I think this is also a really important issue in this project, that this is changing the way we connect to different people. And will we stay or won't we stay connected? This is also some kind of decision that we are
part
making.
of my life now.
Yes, yes.
Like Tanja,
exactly.
she's practically a family now.
Yes.
Yes, we're practically family, exactly. I think the workshop that was organized by Remont in Belgrade some 5 or 6 years ago, it was happening when Belgrade was on the Balkan route, and the whole workshop, we went to the refugee center, we brought donations, we talked with people, and then we went out to 2 different spots where they were gathering, and then we were unpacking a bag of our own as a group action, but they also joined us. We also asked. And then when they unpacked the bag of their own to see what is inside, there were just necessities that they got in this center, partly also stuff that we have donated. They were already in those bags. And you, Kate, you worked there as a volunteer back then, and now I think it's quite interesting also context. But this workshop here now, it was actually a senior participants workshop. So the people have been in the project already, for years, from here or there. They got together, and then we started with following each other's scores or suggestions. So as Paula said, it was all about community and the group interventions yesterday, so she didn't dare to wrap the Center for Cultural Decontamination yesterday, so she came and has done it today. Exactly.
And maybe now we can actually, maybe to have some final reflection. I remember, Tanja, 2 years ago when we actually started to work on this exhibition, but also our first collaboration was also 3 years ago in the frame of performance, performativity and document exhibition in Novi Sad. I also was curating this show, and we showed some of, one actually part of Misplaced Women project. And I remember back then, 2 years ago, when Leo actually asked you on this conference in Cultural Center of Belgrade, what are your plans about Misplaced Women? And you said that you actually feel now, after 10 years, to somehow come to a closure of the project. But I also somehow feel that in last actually 2 years, the production is even bigger than before. So somehow this project refuses actually to come to a closure in a way. So maybe you can share with us how you actually now see the perspective of the Misplaced Women.
I think the kind of workshop that happened in Istanbul was extremely intense, and I think it was like a concluding workshop of the project. I think in the future I could only imagine like a festival, more like a, people, because there was a lot of topics, like a feminist performance festival in the public space. I can see the, embodied performance, that's how I can see Misplaced Women evolving in a way. So something that would be a possibility to kind of meet on a regular basis and have a possibility to kind of develop collaborations between people who are interested to be part of it. And not a festival in the way of like a catwalk, just you come and do your thing and you leave, but precisely under the, under the principles we've been working here. And these are these principles of like a really kind of deep connection of people and that are involved. Somehow like that. But I'm also interested to start working. We're going to have a catalog of this exhibition at some point, but I'm interested to start working on a book, and that the book would be topically organized, because by having such a different contributors to the project, it became so rich, and that's how certain topics can be grasped and analyzed in a deeper way. So this is something how I could see this project developing. Yeah.
So thank you all for being with us online or in person here in Center for Cultural Decontamination. Now we are concluding our conversation, and we could have a tea or a drink in our cafe. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you. Thanks everyone who was with us.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Take care. Have a good trip wherever you're going. All right.
Sending some virtual hugs to everyone. Ah, you're there. Oh God. Jeshen, tell us a few words, because we had finished and I haven't seen that you got connected. I was wondering. Put on your sound. Your sound is off. Just tell us.
Yeah, I was outside, and it took me a while to come to a stable, back to my room. Yeah, that's why I'm staying now in Vienna. It's a very nice place. I'm very happy about it. It's kind of a temporary rent for 8 months. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been working for the past 8 months to get your paperwork done so you can come to Vienna. And you are actually now, I think, at the first art school, university that I know so far that is a non-binary school, right?
Now what?
It's a non-binary. So the way the secretary addresses you, the way the toilets are, the way, so they're not separating to a kind of traditional gender rules. And you came to there for gender